very warm welcome to Brahma Kumaris and Harmony House and tonight's special program, A New Mindset, Green Transitions. I'm sure you wondered how this room is so warm. Have you ever wondered how much energy it takes to heat this room? And how is it done? And is it sustainable? Well, today we have a very special person in GOLO PILZ who has initiated a special project in India called One India. And it's a solar panel project that started many, many years ago. He had this vision, and he never let go of this vision because he wanted to prove how you can have renewable energy without the offset of today's world due to climate change. So he has brought something that's really special, and it was a project funded partially by the government of Germany and India. And today we are seeing the fruits of that, where some 700 dishes are producing electricity for 22,000 people, all sustainable from the sun. So his speciality is solar energy. And GOLO PILZ has been practicing Raj Yoga for some 33 years and has been a resident in one of the Brahma Kumaris campuses, Gyan Sarovar, since its beginning in 1993. So he is literally a resident of India, and we're very fortunate to have him today. So GOLO, without further ado, may I ask you to come on stage? So a round of applause for GOLO, please. So GOLO, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
We look forward to your presentation.
So, good evening, everybody, and thank you very much for coming to this program on a new mindset and green transition. I live since the last 20 years in India, and I'm working with the Brahma Kumaris on renewable energies. And I was also recently at the climate conference in Bonn. And so I'm going to share to you today, first of all, some information. I have some echo. I'm going to share some information about the climate conference in Bonn. You all have heard about climate change. It's a big topic. And I will sort of give you some latest update, what is actually going on, what's happening, and how serious it is. And in the second part, I will share with you the renewable energy projects of the Brahma Kumaris in India. And in the third part, I'll talk about consciousness and awareness, and how are our thoughts playing a major role in all that what is happening around us. So I'm going to share a lot of information. And at the end, we will have a bit time for some questions. And then I would like to do a practical meditation with you to sort of take you in this practical experience, which is the most important of all. So let us start straight away. If we can get these lights a little bit off here, these LED lights, that would be very nice. So this is our major problem. We produce since the last 150 years our power in a very inefficient and a very dirty way. 80% of the world power is based on fossil fuel, basically on coal. So coal-based power plants are running all over the world, and humanity was thinking we can do that without any harm. But now, since 30 years, we observe that the temperature is slowly going up. And all the actions, all the pollution of the past is coming back like a boomerang to us. In practical, it means this. You see, since the 1960 and in the 1970, the temperature is going steadily up. We are now at an average temperature rise of 1.2 degrees. Now, 1.2 degrees doesn't sound very much, but on the North Pole, the temperature rise is already 4.2 degrees above normal, average temperature. And last year in December, it should be minus 25 at the North Pole, and the ice should freeze, you know. That's normally what happens. And last year in December, it was 0 for 2 days. 0 degrees in the middle of the winter at the North Pole. This is what is going on right now. And of course, this has tremendous effects on the balance of our climate. And you might know that in Paris 2 years ago, there was the Paris Climate Agreement has been signed and agreed by all the nations of the world. And the idea is to keep the temperature below 2 degrees, the temperature rise. So better is even to stay below 1.5 degrees, because nobody knows what will happen at 1.5, nobody knows what will happen at 2 degrees. And already at 1.2 degrees, we can see a shift in climate. And I also know that in UK, the seasons are changing. Sometimes you get a lot of rain, sometimes you get storms, sometimes you get flooding, and sometimes you get drought in some areas. And this happens all over the world, that the weather is already changing. I show you now here a graph which I got in summer from the German Climate Research Institute. This is about the trigger points in climate. So what is happening? The blue one are the ice masses. You see we have the West Arctic ice sheet, and we have Greenland ice sheet and Arctic ice sheet. Trigger point means these are big systems in our climate, and when we trigger them, they will start moving and changing, getting out of balance. And then they may cause other systems to follow. And this is going to change our climate faster than we were actually thinking. Just to give you an idea, at the moment the Arctic sea ice, the Greenland ice sheet and the West Arctic ice sheet is melting. It has started to melt. Science 20 years ago they said it will take 1,000 years ago. 10 years ago they said it will take 500 years ago. Now they say it may take less than 100 years. To give you an idea, when the Greenland ice sheet is melting, the seawater level will rise 12 meters. And you can imagine what this means for UK. You're an island, and London will have to be evacuated. Amsterdam, Boston, New York, Sydney, Melbourne, all the coastal cities will go. We can survive 1 to 1.5 meters seawater level rise. This is what we can manage with dikes and fortification of our seashores. Everything above that will be very difficult for humanity to manage. So the Arctic ice shield is also melting. All the time you hear the news that some big chunks of ice are breaking off. Arctic sea ice is also reducing every year. Every year we see satellite photos become smaller and smaller and smaller. If all the ice melts around the globe, we have a seawater level rise of 60 meters. And that's not sustainable. 50% of the world population lives within 50 kilometers of the oceans, so it will become a very difficult situation for us to survive. The way of life we have at present will be not possible in such a scenario. So, and this is only one issue. We have also the permafrost in Siberia and in Canada. The permafrost is very important because it keeps the earth frozen and the bacteria are all sleeping. Once the permafrost thaws, the bacteria become active and they release methane gas. Methane gas is 120 times more active than carbon emissions. It's a very powerful changer in our climate. And at the moment, in Siberia and in Canada, large areas of the permafrost are thawing up. So this is another issue where people are not 100% sure what is going on and how fast it will change our climate. The Germans, they're just sending some survey planes and some ships in this area to find out what really happens, because nobody lives there and nobody knows what's going on. We only know it has started, and the bacteria, they become now active because the ground thaws above 0 degree. We have also the Indian summer monsoon. This red are the circulation systems, and we have the Indian summer monsoon. And you might know that this year the monsoon in India was quite horrible. We had incredible flooding, and some areas had drought, and some areas got too much rain. In Mount Abu, where I live in Abu Road, our Brahma Kumaris ashram was flooded. 1.5 foot at some places, which we never have seen before. We have also the Atlantic thermoline circulation. This is the heating system of Europe, because the warm air, the warm water comes up to UK, and that's why in Cornwall you have some places where there are palm trees, because we get warm water at our coastal areas. This circulation already shows signs of weakening. And it's all interconnected. If this system changes, this system changes, this system changes. We have drought in the United States, and Indian summer monsoon, African summer monsoon, they show sign of changing. We have the ecosystems, which are the Amazon rainforest, the tropical coral reefs, and the boreal forests here. And these systems also show a big change. You might have heard that the news this year, that in Australia the barrier reef is undergoing coral bleaching. You might have heard about it. It's the biggest ecosystem in the world, it's the biggest living organism, and it's dying. 70% of the reef is dying right now. It's very bad news. So the world is like a sick patient in the ICU. That's the situation at the moment. And I was in Bonn at the climate conference, and the latest data is coming in is not very good. This year was the year with the highest carbon emission in the atmosphere. And last year the emissions were stable. This year they started to rise again. 2015 was the hottest year on record, 2016 was hotter, and 2017 will be even hotter than all the previous years before. So all the trend curves at the moment, they are going upwards, which is very bad because we have to bring down the carbon emissions, we have to bring down the temperature and so on. If we follow the policy as usual, the temperature will rise 4 degrees. If we follow the pledges of the Paris Agreement, temperatures will rise 2.8 degrees, which is also too much. So we have to change in a big way. Otherwise, we run into very serious trouble. Deserts will increase all over the world. Seawater level will rise everywhere, and there are already some islands in the Pacific which have to be evacuated because the seawater enters into their sweetwater water supply. So they're already evacuating some islands. And this is a picture which I took this summer in Sardinia. You might have heard that in the whole Mediterranean there was no rain. Even now there is no rain in Spain, and there's a huge drought. And this was a big forest fire in Sardinia because there was 7 months no single drop of rain in the whole island. And I stayed in a house here with a friend, and the fire came very close. So the police came up to us and says, park your car, keep the key inside, put all your valuables in the car, and when we come second time, you just dash and follow us. Luckily, they could douse the fire, but many people lost their homes. So we have already, in Portugal, 60 people died this summer in forest fires. So we have already in the Mediterranean a very noticeable change of climate. I was in Israel, just came 2 days ago from Israel, and there they had 7 months, 8 months, not a single drop of water. So climate there is also shifting and changing. And this is at a temperature of 1.2 degrees. So you can imagine that more is in the pipeline, and the news will be not good for us. So this is the outlook from the climate change scenario, and the reason for all our problems is that we follow a wrong paradigm. We believe in economic growth. So here you see economic growth, 2 or 3 or 4% per year for the whole globe. And at the moment, we are using the resources of 1.6 planets. It means we're using 1.6 times the water, the air, the trees, and so on. India is using the resources of 2 Indias. I was in Hyderabad 2 years ago at a biodiversity conference of the UN, and the Indian scientists, they said, we're using 2 Indias. Twice the air, twice the water, twice the groundwater. And future generations, they won't find much left over in India because we are taking everything. We're using 2 Indias at the moment. So this is also a situation which is not good. And the reason is we all follow the idea of economic growth, and economic growth. You wouldn't vote for a party which would not promise you economic growth and more jobs, am I right? But we're living on one planet. So we cannot follow an idea of unlimited growth when we're living in a limited environment. There has to be a point of saturation. There was the Club of Rome in 1972, a very famous think tank of Nobel laureates and eminent scientists. And they formulated a thesis in 1972, it's called The Limits of Growth. And they actually said that we run into that scenario. And since the 1960s, it is known about global warming. Then the American coal and oil industry came and said, this is all a hoax, don't believe. And we lost 30 years in doing nothing. Now, we face the boomerang, the feedback loop from all our action. In India, we call it bad karma is coming back to us. That's the situation. So, and one of the problems is that we all participate in that. See, this lady is from USA, can be from any Western country, but America is very famous because it has the highest carbon footprint per person. Means any person in America is using most of the energy of all other people in the world. And this lady is hypnotized by 10,000 advertisements. She believes if she buys more and more and more, she's a more happy person. And Mahatma Gandhi said there's sufficient in the world for man's need, but not for man's greed. So we all got a bit greedy. And today I was in Leicester, in downtown Leicester. You know, in most of the shops, what do they sell? What do most of the shops sell? Fashion, cloth, and shoes. And people go and buy. The cupboards are full, but we still buy more. And now Christmas is coming. Everybody buys. You know, we already have enough. We have actually too much. A person who would live 100 or 150 years ago and see our behavior now, he would say we're completely crazy. Because we only buy, and we define our status and our happiness through the possession of material goods. It's a very sad situation. There's a sort of emptiness on the inside, and we try to compensate with having more and more and more things. So, and at the same time, everything is on credit. You might know that America has $20 trillion of state debt. $20 trillion. The assets in America of the government are $3 trillion. So if I can give you an advice, don't buy any more American bond papers. Shift all your money to Switzerland, because America is not a good creditor any longer. But Britain is also vulnerable. You're also in a very tricky situation, you know. So the whole world is in a financial crisis, in a debt crisis. And we only survive because at the moment we use some tricks. We are printing money. And the governments, they are buying through agents their own bond papers. It's called quantitative easing. So at the moment we survive, but with some tricks. But the past has shown us that usually a debt crisis of that magnitude comes to an end always. There will be always, at the end, is bankruptcy. It's unavoidable. At the moment we stall it. So we have a debt crisis, we have an environmental crisis, we have a crisis of civilization. The issue is that this time it's global. In old days, crises, they were on a regional level. You had a regional bankruptcy, you had a regional environmental problem. This time it's on a global scale. The whole world is affected. In India, you know, we believe we're in Kali Yuga. And now you look at the state of the world and you can guess, yes, we are really at the end of the Kali Yuga. The Greek called it the Iron Age. It's a very dramatic situation for our planet. So, and there are actually alternatives where we could fix all these problems. You see, this is a graph which gives you an idea how much solar energy comes to this planet. You see, we have here the world energy demand, which is this much, and we have here the sunshine coming from the sun to our planet. We're getting 1,000 times more energy from sun than what we need. If we would put solar plates here on this roof, on this building could completely run on renewable energies. Heating, electricity, everything. So it would be very easy for us to switch to renewable energies. And here you see the total remaining stocks of oil and coal and uranium in the ground. And science is telling us that in the next 20 years, we have to phase out completely the usage of coal. In the next 30 years, we have to completely leave oil. And gas also we should not touch after some time. And uranium, nuclear power is not very safe. So in the next 30 years, we have to change really our lifestyle, and we have to reduce the consumption of coal and oil. if we are using the coal and the oil which is in the ground, we will literally burn the planet. Temperature will rise so much, ice will melt rapidly, climate will change, food production with all effects, everything will ripple into the society. It won't be sustainable. So, renewable energy is there and it's a good alternative. Now, I have given you a first overview what happens in climate change, what's the situation. Now a bit about Brahma Kumaris. Our headquarters is in Mount Abu, Rajasthan. We're a spiritual organization teaching Raja Yoga, ethics and values. Because we believe we have to empower people on the inside. And we have 6,000 centers in 110 countries and we're administrated by women, which makes it very sweet and very lovely. And I hope you all agree, if women would rule the world, we would have less problems. Are you agreeing to that? Yes? Yes, at least the ladies here, they should cheer up now, no? Huh? Yeah, it's like that because women usually have more empathy and more love for the beings and for the things. And they're probably less interested in material possessions. I hope at least to some extent. Okay, so and we also work with the UN, with ECOSOC, UNFCCC and UNEP. These are the different organizations of the United Nations and we are registered with them and we are accredited with them. So it means we participate officially in their conferences. And this is our headquarters, this is our Shantivan campus in Abu Road. And you can see it's a quite big campus and we can accommodate around 20,000 people there. And here is a solar steam cooking system on the rooftop. And here we have photovoltaic systems for power generation. Here's our big hall, Om Shanti Bhavan, the Diamond Hall. And here's our kitchen. And this all is in Rajasthan in northwest India. And Brahma Kumaris is since 20 years very active in the research and development of solar energy. And we are officially recognized with the government of India as a research center. And this is, I show you now some of our solar projects which we have executed over the years. This is a solar steam cooking system which is in Gyan Sarovar. And this system was installed in 1997 and it is based on a dish, on a parabolic reflector. So that dish is concentrating the sunlight, is reflecting it and reflecting it to a receiver. Inside the receiver is water and the water starts boiling and we have steam. And the steam we send into the kitchen and we cook lentils, rice, vegetables and soup. We cannot fry because temperature is limited to 140 centigrades. This system produces steam for 2,000 meals and it was a research and development sponsored by the German government in 1997. This is the oldest working solar system in India. And we recently got an article in the Times of India on this system. Yeah, this is another system which we built in Abu Road in Shantivan. We built it in 1997 and it is based on 84 concentrators and we produce 3,500 kilograms steam by the energy of sun and we cook 35,000 meals every day. And here you see a close-up, you see the sun rays are reflected, falling on the receiver. The water inside starts boiling, and here we collect the steam and send it to the kitchen. And the dish follows the sun from the morning to the evening with a very simple tracking system. This is our own invention, our own design. The dish was invented by a German engineer, Wolfgang Scheffler, but then we started producing and manufacturing ourselves in Mount Abu. So all the work, design has been done by our own team. And this is our kitchen. The steam is injected here and we use here the cooking vessels which have a size of 120 to 140 liters and inside is rice, lentils and vegetables. And we cook for all these people. This is our main gathering in Shantivan where we have melas. So you can imagine what a responsibility it is to cook for all these people by the power of sun. And here is another system. This is our Om Shanti Retreat Center, 50 kilometers outside of Delhi, near Gurgaon. And you see here we have a 400 kilowatt photovoltaic system on the rooftop. And here a solar steam cooking system. And this place is energy autark. You might have heard that our New Delhi is suffering from air pollution. You know that? So India, New Delhi is often breaking the world record, and this winter now, just now, it's a very bad situation. And if you live in Delhi, it's like smoking 60 cigarettes a day. It's like smoking 60 cigarettes a day. That's the situation. And your life expectancy average is reduced by 5 years. It's bad news, no? It's like a gas chamber. And the doctors in Delhi have declared an emergency and says we have to do something. But the problem is, it's local problem as well as regional problem, because the farmers in Haryana, they burn their husk. So the bad air comes from the region, the traffic, the dust, it all comes together. So Delhi, but many places also in Gujarat, Ahmedabad, for example, has also very high level of pollution. Many of the smaller cities in India also have that same problem. So we bring people here and meditate and make them feel good in reasonable good air, and the whole place is running on solar energy. And you see all the design, installation has been done by our own team. These are the photovoltaic cells. The price has dropped by 80%. At the moment, the electricity generated by the solar plates is almost equal to the cost of power which comes from the grid. So there is cost parity almost. There's actually not a reason not to switch. Why we don't switch, we will find out later. And you see here, we store the batteries, we store the energy in batteries, and we use old type lead acid batteries. We get a lifespan of 10 years from these batteries. After 10 years, we refurbish the batteries, so we get 20 years out of that. After 20 years, we sell the lead, and we use the containers for flower pots. So we ekdam recycle 100%. Very good. So, and now I come to a project I like to share you. It's called India One. It's a big project where we receive funding from the German and the Indian government. The total budget is 12 million euros. And we get 60%, 50% by the German government, 6 million euros from the German government, 3 million euros by the Indian government. Actually, they should have given the equal amount as the German government as per the contract, but then, India, you go to the government and say, please sir, we still get some grant. He will say, later. Come next week, Then you come next week, then there's a new officer. He says, I don't know anything what is going on here. So anyhow, finally we got our money. Actually, we still have to get 60 lakhs from the Indian government, still pending 60 lakhs. We met the secretary and he says, yeah, I will do. So let us see. Give some good thoughts that we get 60 lakhs. So we got a lot of money. Huh?
See, Mr. Modi.
Yeah, see, it is not Modi's problem. It is... Anyhow, so this is a very special project. The name is India One. It's a 1 megawatt solar thermal power plant with thermal storage. So the problem in renewable energy is not they are cheap and they're available. The problem is how to store. Solar energy, as the name says, you get in daytime. So what we're doing if we need electricity in the night. That's the problem with renewable energies. You have to store the energy for night consumption. So everywhere in the world is now doing research, how to store, what is the cheapest storage, etc. Easy and well known is batteries. But there are also other methods. You can use water, pump it up in a dam, and in the nighttime you let the water down. So there are many different methods how you can store. We use a thermal storage. We work with the famous Fraunhofer Institute, and Brahma Kumaris gave 25% of the cost. So this is totally 80 crores project. So, and you see, for that purpose we had to build a big dish. You see, this big dish is 60 square meters, and the sunlight is reflected to the receiver, which is here, and the dish is moving from the morning to the evening. We have in the receiver is made out of 3 tons of cast iron, 3,000 kilograms of cast iron. And we heat up that cast iron through the power of sun to 500 centigrades. Then we have here a coil, which is going around the receiver, and we pump water through the coil and we get steam out. And this 3 tons of cast iron they stay hot overnight because we have insulated them with 20 centimeter of rock wool. So that's how we store the energy overnight. So what we do is we heat up this receiver, then we close it. At nighttime, we slowly pump water through it, and slowly the heat which is inside is being transferred to the water, becomes steam, goes to the turbine, and we have electricity also at night. So, and you see here, this was the picture 10 years ago. All the three guys, I had full hair, you know, a very young, dynamic person. I'm still young, but my hair is gone in the meantime. Yeah, because, you know, we had some financial problem, you know, running out of money, going here and there to the government, and one hair was 1 lakh, you know. You know. It's not bad, it's quite good, you know. Some people lose hair, they lose, and they don't get anything, you know. At least we got some money, you know. So, you see here we're putting up one dish, and we have to make pucca foundation. And we had to fabricate everything ourselves. So we built workshops, we did everything ourselves, cutting, steel cutting, fabrication, shot blasting, painting, welding. We had 40 welders, we have plasma cutting, we have bending machines, and so on and so on. Quite a big operation. And you see here's the design. We used a space frame design to make it more lightweight. And we had our own engineering department, our own structural engineers, our own software, our own design department to optimize the usage of steel and make it maximum lightweight. And you see this is how it looks like. You see the dishes are now in rows. The sunlight is reflected to the receiver. We pump water through it, and the water becomes steam, more steam, more steam, more steam, and here the steam goes to the turbine house. The turbine house is like a big hall, and inside we have a 1 megawatt steam turbine from Siemens. And this is our team, and we are about 40 brothers, all dedicated from Brahma Kumaris, all working like as volunteers. I'm also a volunteer since the last 30 years. And we sent a letter to our followers throughout India, and we said we need engineers. We have 800,000 people. So we got a lot of feedback, and we got a lot of help from experienced people. So these are all engineers in steam, they're fitters, fabricators, and so on. And here in the middle, you see Daddy Junkie. She comes regular, and every 2 months she comes on solar site. She stays there for a couple of hours. She likes it very much because it's a bit outside of Shantivan. It's very peaceful. And I like to talk a little bit more on Daddy Junkie because Daddy Junkie is 102 years old. She's the head of the Brahma Kumaris, and she's a true leader. This is like people we need nowadays. We need true leaders. What does it mean, a true leader? When we were short of money, I went to Daddy and I said, Daddy, we're short of money. She said, don't worry, Daddy will help you. And she helped. She organized money. Then sometimes we had a bit problem within the team. Daddy says, don't worry, Daddy will help you also. And she spoke and she mediated. Sometimes I felt unhappy and, problems, no money, this and that. Daddy says, don't worry, Daddy will send you Sakash in the Amrit Vela time. She will send you good vibration, and I could feel it. So she's a true leader. She's taking care of worldly affairs, but she's also taking care of the spiritual health, of the happiness of a person. Because now we know that the happiness in the inner world plays a very crucial role what happens in the outer world. So Daddy is a true leader. She looks on both sides. And many of you know Daddy, no? And she was here this summer, no? Or last? She was here, no? Did she come to Leicester? Wonderful. Fantastic. No? Our Daddy still travels. So Daddy comes regular on site, and she came just a month ago. She came and she kept the hand of everybody and gave to everybody of our team 2 minutes drishti and tolis and everything. So it was very, very lovely meeting. So Daddy is a true leader, and we need more true leaders like that, which see both sides, the worldly side, but also the spiritual dimension. And there is a big lack in our world because our leaders only see the worldly problems, but not the spiritual issues. And that's why our world is in such a delicate situation. So, and we also do a lot of training and education. We trained We did more than 30 workshops for engineers from all over India, and we trained them in solar concentrating technology, but we also trained the local people. You know, smoking and drinking is a big problem, and quite often the men, they use all their wages and it's gone after 1 week. So we train them and says, take your money, send it back to your wife so she can use it for the kids and for the house. So we try to uplift also the local people, give them good jobs, train them and qualify them. That's very important, and try to raise the awareness among the local population. Rajasthan is one of the poorest states in India, you know. Huh? Good. And this is now a picture recently taken. And you can see here is our turbine house. Here is a photovoltaic. So we generate also electricity by photovoltaic. And we have totally 770 dishes. And the good news is that the project has been started, has been commissioned in March 2017. So we pushed the button. Actually, we had a big mailer, and there was Baba's program. And in that program, we launched the project. Some of you might have seen it. And so the project is at the moment operational. And we produce electricity by the power of sun, and we send it here through cable to our Shantivan campus, which is 1.4 kilometers away. Some of you might have seen the project. Okay, here and there some hands are going up. Wonderful. So when you come to Abu, please take time and come and see our project. And now I'm going here on the hill, and I take another photo, and you see from the top, you see now here the 700 dishes, the turbine house, and here's our workshop. So, and in order to make it a true green power plant, we planted 3,000 fruit trees around the perimeter of the power plant. And inside here, we started now organic farming. We have 6 cows, started organic farming, and I have a team of 10 people who only plant vegetables, grow all sorts of fruit trees, oranges, lemons, papaya, mango. All this is coming up, and it's growing very nicely because we want to make it a true green power plant, producing electricity, but producing also food. So in such a project, you face a lot of issues. You face technical issues, financial problems, human resource problems, and local capacity problems. And it is quite a challenge to execute such a project in India. When I came 30 years ago to India, I had problems of communicating, you know. In Germany, 1 + 1 is 2. But you come to India and you ask the Indian engineer, 1 + 1, and he says, maybe 2. Maybe. This can cause some misunderstanding in the beginning. It's a trifle. It took me 6, 7, 8 years to sort of understand the Indian headshake, you know, and now I'm fully Indianized. You know, I'm bought aram se now. I'm sort of like, okay, may happen or not happen, you know. India, no? Chalega. Good. So now the project is finished, and I'm also a bit sort of happy now that it is done because it took us 8 years. But it is a big achievement because we produce this electricity. So now you have seen we have a big problem on our planet. We have massive climate change going on. And this is very serious. Do not underestimate it. It will affect us all in a very dramatic way in the coming years. It will become worse and worse and worse. Even if we stop now completely and change our lifestyle, it'll go another 20 years will increase because we are experiencing now the emissions 20 years ago. It takes 20 years for them to go up and sort of change the weather. Even we stop now, after 20 years it will become better. So climate change is there. It's very, very serious. It will affect us. It will affecting India, food production, safety, and so on. All our lives will be affected. And nobody can do anything about it because it's so powerful. Then we have seen there are renewable energies. Good technology is there. We know the problem since a long time. We know it since 40, 50 years. But it seems humanity is not acting properly, not reacting to this crisis. Now I will talk a bit about the spiritual dimensions, a bit about the background, and what Brahma Kumaris is also doing at the UN climate conferences. So how to change habits and create a climate of hope. Because it's our habits, our sanskaras, which are very, very powerful, and we have sometimes problems of changing. You might know in your own life, you are aware of a bad habit, and you try to change it, and it takes time. Am I right? You know, I'm now 33 years practicing meditation, and I still have not conquered all the bad habits from the past. So, therefore, we have to understand that the inner world and the outer world are connected. How is that the case? You see, the world is in a very difficult situation because our actions are not good. We use wrong technology, we take the wrong decisions, the world is very peaceless, and we buy too many things, etc., etc. Actions are not good because the visions and the ideas are not proper. We follow the wrong economic model, we believe we will be more happy if we have more things, and so on and so on. We have the wrong visions and the wrong ideas. And that's because consciousness and awareness is no more up to date. So, there's an emptiness on the inside, and it is reflecting in a very difficult situation on the outside. So, we go to the climate conference, and therefore we advocate a change of the self. If I change, I influence the family, community, country, life on earth, and future generation. The change starts with me. I give you an easy example. You want to create peace in your family, you know? So, because sometimes there is always trouble at the dining table, and you are so fed up, you say, now I want to create peace at the dining table. What do you have to do first? Who knows it? What do you have to do? Silence, yes. You have to become peaceful yourself on the inside. You have to become absolutely peaceful. So for sometimes the others, they will rattle and shake you, but after some time, because you stay very peaceful, they also will become peaceful. So you have to become peaceful on the inside. You have to become the embodiment of the change you like to see in other people. It's as simple as it is. And this is not really new. Our religious forefathers of all religions, they were telling us the same thing. You have to walk the talk. So, and because of these problems and the connection with the inner world and the outer world, the Brahma Kumaris has set up an environmental initiative. And you might have received a brochure of our initiative, or when you go out, you can get such a brochure. And we are going since 10 years to the climate change conferences of the United Nations. And we have a webpage, www.echobrahmakumaris.org, and we are trying to inspire people to become a bridge builder, caregiver, creator, dreamer, initiator, a meditator, a motivator, a peacemaker, a strategist, and a visionary. And I hope you like these ideas. And we also ask the people to change on the inside. And we have the 10 ways to change the world. Live simple, be unlimited, open the heart, respect life, be positive, walk the talk, empower yourself, eat well, follow your dream, and feed the soul. And when you go out, you will get a small blessing card, and inside will be one of the blessings with a little bit of an explanation, what it actually means. And we have printed 10,000 of these blessings, and we distribute them at the climate conferences. Okay, and this is our green team, our environmental team, and this photo is 2 weeks old from Bonn. And you see here, Sister Genti, our head and boss of the Green Team Climate Initiative. She's very powerful and very sweet. And here's our green team, Sonja from Denmark, our secretary, Valerian from Geneva. And here, these are all the Germans, and this was in Bonn. And there was the UN climate conference going on for 2 weeks, and 20,000, 25,000 people, government people, negotiators, they all came together. And the Brahma Kumaris was very lucky because we got 6 million euros from the German government. And 3 months ago, I got an email from Berlin, from the ministry, and they said, can you send us a high-resolution picture of India 1, and can you give us permission to use it? I said, yes, why not? And when I arrived on Frankfurt Airport, you know, India 1 on display. When I went to the railway station, India 1 was there. I drove in the car, there was a bus stop, and there was India 1. Everywhere was India 1. And this is the German Minister of Environment, Frau Dr. Hendricks, and she's launching the German campaign Ready for the Future. And they had 4 projects, 4 posters, and one was India 1. So our India 1 was on display all over the conference and everywhere. And we were very lucky to get such an advertisement and get such a recognition of our project. And we had a lot of programs at the climate conference, and also here our Klaus Peter and our stand. And here are 3 ladies from Iran, and we explain them about renewable energies. Here we have a workshop on interfaith in the indigenous pavilion. And you might know that all religions, they group together at the climate conference. It's called the Interfaith Constituency. And 80% of the world population are connected to one or the other religion. So the religions are all uniting now at the climate conference, and they say, see, this is God's creation and we are responsible here. We should not mess it up. Let us clean up our act and let us change our lifestyle, use renewable energies and reduce carbon emissions and save the planet for future generations. This is what the faith-based community are doing. And Brahma Kumaris is part of the faith-based community since the beginning. We have actually initiated the interfaith at the climate conference. And we are now very well known and respected because in Brahma Kumaris they see an organization which is talking about this but also having practical activities in that direction. And when you are the embodiment of what you're talking about, it gives authority to your actions. So we have many of these programs. We had almost 20 programs in these 2 weeks. We had press conference and we met a lot of VIPs. Met the German environmental minister, met the Indian minister of environment, the secretary. We met the French President Macron. So there was chances, sometimes these people were walking over the conference and you could go there and talk to them. It was easy to approach. So for us, the conference was a success. However, I have to say that this year the carbon emissions again have gone up. The temperature again is going up. And you might know that Donald Trump is withdrawing from the Paris Climate Agreement because he believes it's a hoax from the Chinese to sell more cheap products in America, you know. So that's not such a good news because America is one of the biggest emitters of of greenhouse gases in the world. So because of the problems, we advocate the 4 R's. The 4 R's, they mean rethink, rethink before you buy, reuse the goods, reduce your consumption and recycle. We can save energy, save water and reduce waste. For example, before I buy, I should think, do I really need it? You know, we buy every 2 years, we buy mobile phone because we think, oh my God, the screen is bigger and it is more fancy and whatnot, you know. And we buy new computers, new cars, new cloth. We follow fashion and we follow trends. But do we really need that? You know, if we think about it, sometimes we can say, okay, I can keep that gadget for a year more. It's still working. No? So rethink before you buy. Reuse. No? Reuse things. You know, I was the smallest of 3 boys in Germany. And you know, to be the smallest is a very, very bad situation. You know why? You know why? I had to wear the pants of my elder brothers. Not only, you are laughing, but you know, when it comes to fashion and you wear the old stuff of your elder brother, it's no fun at all, you know. You know, and then we were a bit wild, 3 boys, you know, in the 70s, you know. We had all these holes here, so my mother, she made patches. I didn't like that at all, you know, but I had no chance. And the worst was I had to wear the shoes of my elder brothers, you know, and I was crying. My mother said, no way, you wear it. And if the shoe was gone, you brought it to the shoemaker and he repaired it. Now you try to get your shoes repaired. Huh? It's almost impossible. Nowadays we use Nikes for $100, we buy them and then we throw them away after 1 year. You know? That's the situation. So, reuse, reduce your consumption. We all know where we can reduce our consumption. Instead of driving alone with a car, we can share the car with others. Today, I walked from here, downtown Leicester, 40 minutes. And way back, because it was cold, I was in 30 minutes back here. Not bad. Huh? And recycle. In Germany, 80% of the newspaper are printed on recycled paper. So there's a lot of option here. Save energy, save water, reduce waste. Okay? A lot of action is there. So, and here comes our last. I know you're all vegetarians, so I don't have to go too much in detail. It is said that 30% of the emissions, of the CO2 emissions, are directly connected to meat production. 30% of greenhouse gas emissions are connected to meat production. If the world would go vegetarian, climate change would stop immediately. So, this is the meat products, the pork, the fish, the chicken, and the cow. Energy consumption very high, carbon footprint very high, 500 times more water, 100 times more land, 50 times more energy required to feed the people. So we have to go to vegetarian diet, or even better, vegan diet. Anybody's vegan here? Hands up. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you are the gold medalists. Because vegan is the best lifestyle, because you even don't take the milk from the cow. So, and the animals, they say, love us, not eat us. And this is a secret picture from NASA, which I got yesterday. It's very secret. I just show it first time in public to you. It shows the planet Earth, and vegetables are dancing around. This is actually a joke, but maybe it's too complicated. Don't laugh. So, and many people, they think it's not us. And you see here, hell, come on. We had tumble dryers, air conditioning, cheap flights, big cars, free plastic toys with our breakfast cereal. I say it was worth it. This is London. You see this Big Ben just looking out. So they say it was worth it. And here people say it's not me. It's not me who consumes too much. It's not me, it's not me, it's not me, it's to me. And we're sitting all on this huge mountain of garbage. So we should think how much responsible we are and where we can change, because the consequences will be quite drastic. So now you have seen that the world is in a difficult situation and we have to change the inside. Now I'm talking to you a little bit about the brain function and psychology, because we are dealing now on the inside. And I like to share with you latest scientific findings, which make it a bit more understandable why it is so difficult for us to change our life. And science has done a lot of research. How is the brain functioning, and who's taking decision, how a decision is being taken, why we buy this or why we buy that, or why we like this or why we dislike that. And the brain, the scientists, the psychologists, they separate two main areas of the brain. One is the consciousness, which is active, which is thinking. And I'm consciously talking to you, and you're consciously listening. And then here, the outer part of the brain is very active. It's called the consciousness. And then there's the subconscious, which is sitting more on the inside, and this is the accumulated experience and recordings of the past. Whatever happens to you, whoever you meet, whatever face you see, whatever experience you have, you record it in your brain. And that forms the subconscious. Now, whom you think is responsible for the decision-making process? Hands up, who believes it's the consciousness? Okay, 1, 2. And who believes it's the subconscious? Okay, this is the majority, but quite a lot of you are not lifting the hands, You are undecided. Yeah, it's an old trick, don't say anything, so you can't be wrong. I've done that in the school all the time, and I got through, I got my marks. These are good tactics. So, it's like this. You see, this is the consciousness, and this is the subconscious. It's the iceberg. 90%, actually 97% of all our decisions are made by the subconscious. How is that? I give you an example. Now you see me for the first time. Most of you see me for the first time. So what you do when you see my face for the first time, you look up 40 parameters of my face. The chin, the eyes, the hair or less hair, the ears, the eyes, the nose, and you take 40 parameters, clack, 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 in a tenth of a second. You have like a very good face recognition software. And with this picture, with these 40 parameters, you go into your database, which is your subconscious, and you go there to the picture, to the face department, and you look inside all the faces. Now, for example, I look similar to your daddy, and you had a good relation with your daddy, I assume. So after another tenth of a second, the feedback comes from the subconscious to the conscious. It says, relax, this is a good guy. Huh? You can believe him. And you relax, and you release oxytocin and dopamine into your body. And you relax, because we all like oxytocin and dopamine. You know, this is the stuff which makes us happy and relax and feels us very, very good. So we all the time want to have that stuff. So you think, this guy looks good. He's smart. I will believe him. Yeah, good. Now, it could be also the opposite. You had a bad relation with your daddy. You know, can happen. You know, so then the opposite happens. Feedback comes from the subconscious. This guy looks a bit fishy. You know, he has this nose and the ears. I don't know. I'm not going to believe him. And what you do is you do your hands like this, and you turn to the side, and you release stress hormones in your system, and your heartbeat goes up, and you start sweating more. This all has been tested thousands of times in laboratories and is fully researched out. And everybody does it. It means I can tell whatever I want. You won't believe me. And this is what happened. How is the power of the subconscious? It's so powerful, you judge based on your past experience, not what I'm telling you right now at the moment. And that's the power of the subconscious. That's how how elections are decided. This is how it's decided what you buy and what you not buy. This is what you like, sweet or sour. It's all based on your previous experience. What does it mean? We are writing a program since a long time. And we follow that old program. And whatever we understand, what I rationally tell to you, it doesn't really interest. Because the bad news is, from the consciousness, we cannot influence the subconscious. It's always the reverse way. The subconscious always influences the consciousness. I give you an example. You know, when I was a small boy, my mom, she took me first time to the dentist, and I was so scared, you know, because I heard bad things from the dentist. I was crying. She says, Golo, if you go to dentist and you don't do anything, I take you to ice cream parlor. I said, okay, I was never in an ice cream parlor before, but I heard it must be a good place. So my mother took me to ice cream parlor, and she said, what do you want? I said, that brown one. I didn't know what it is. It was chocolate. So my mother bought me chocolate, and she gave it to me, and I tasted it. And I said, and she looked to me and she said, is it tasty? And I said, yeah, it's sweet and it's cold, yeah, okay. And then something happens if your mom is smiling to you and you smile back, you know. It's called child-mother bonding. The mom releases a lot of dopamine and oxytocin. I release dopamine and oxytocin. And I created in my brain here, I created a program called ice cream. It's very powerful, this program. My mother is dead long time ago. But you know, when I walk the streets and I see an ice cream parlor, it doesn't matter if it's in Frankfurt or in any place in the world, you know, I go in automatic mode, because from my subconscious comes the order, ice cream. And what happens is my hand goes automatically in my pocket and I look for small change. And my walk is automatically going towards the direction of the ice cream parlor. And I start thinking, oh, there's an ice cream parlor. Today I will take chocolate ice cream. And I release dopamine and oxytocin. I think on my mama and ice cream, and everything is great, you know. And that's how I follow my old program. And I can't do anything about it, because it's very powerful and we all do it. Some scientists say we are like robots who have written a program in the past, we're just executing it. And the free will is actually an illusion. This is what some scientists say. Smart people in Yale University and on the conscious institutes all around the world. So how we can change? That's the big question. How we get change? Because we cannot influence this little here, the consciousness cannot influence this monster. This monster is the old experience of the past, and in India we call it karma. Whatever you have done, you store it. And it's with you, and it's influencing you, the good and the bad. How to get rid of karma? Anybody knows it? Nobody knows it. Okay, so now comes scientific evidence of meditation and yoga. Or mindfulness is a new word. You know, they took, many institutes became very interested what actually happens when you meditate, because it became so famous, you know, and it's so ancient. And they took yogis and Buddhist monks, put them in the magnet resonance imaging machine and the CT scan and computer tomograph, and they scanned the brain. And they started mapping the brain, what happens here, what happens there, and they observed the yogis over many years, 10 years, they made long studies, and they found out something very interesting. When you meditate, it increases the social competence. You have more empathy for yourself, but also for your friends, and for the nature, and for the animals. Very, very good. Number 2, it deepens relaxation and improves your health. And we all like to relax, and we all like to have a better health. But the third one is very interesting. It increases brain cells and activities. Now you have to know one fact. Up to the age of 25, our brain is growing. You know, we are young, we're ambitious, and we think we can rule the world and have fun all the time, endless. Everything looks very, very, very good. No? You remember when you were young? No? And the reason is our brain is growing until the age of 25, approximate. From the age of 25 onwards, something bad happens. Our brain starts shrinking. And the body cannot grow new gray brain cells. It's over from 25 onwards. You know, we start forgetting things, and, you know, and learning new things becomes a bit more difficult. Who is older than 25? Yeah. Come on, hands up. Yeah. I mean, I'm just 26, I just passed it, but yeah, I'm serious, you know. I mean, I feel like 20, really, almost. It's just a couple of years, just a bit more than double. So what happened is, when we become 25 and older, the neuronal flexibility of our brain is decreasing. It means we're less and less able to think out of the box, we're less open to new ideas, and we have less capacity to change. This is why when we get older, it becomes more and more difficult to change our lifestyle or to change habits, because the available space or capacity in our brain is shrinking. It's very well documented and very well known. And the reason is, when we create an action, we create a neuronal pathway. We create a highway in our brain. For example, I have this incredible, powerful ice cream program, you know, this very big neuronal pathway. Whenever I see a shop, you know, I can't do. In the morning I say, GOLO, today no ice cream. An hour later I have my chocolate ice cream in my hand, you know. I can, it's automatic, you know. I'm doomed, you know. So now how to change? Now meditation has given an answer. Science has found out if you meditate, your brain starts growing again. And this is something very sensational, because it actually should not happen. And the neuronal flexibility is increasing again. It means you meditate, the brain grows, and you're able to think out of the box, and you're able to override old habits and to change awareness. And this is very well documented now, and that's why many psychologists, they use now the method of mindfulness to treat their patients, because they found out if they meditate, the patient is able to change the old habits like psychosis or schizophrenia and all these kind of things. Meditation is very, very helpful, because it deals with the subconscious program. It deals with the root cause, with the old recording of a traumata, and so on. So now, in order to change our lifestyle, meditation is very, very helpful. And science has documented that. So meditation is a powerful tool to change on the inside and change our actions. But we need a little bit more than this, no? And here is, by the way, here are some links. Whoever is interested, you can Google neuroscience and yoga and meditation. And you will find a lot of links and connections on that subject. And there's a whole world out there on information on neuroscience, yoga, and meditation. Oh, I have written that wrong. Meditation. Should correct it. Okay, so a lot of information is here, and you see this is Harvard University, so this is all very, very recognized now. So now I know we also want some magic. Who likes magic? Hands up. Come on, everybody likes magic. You know, like abracadabra, let's double my income. Huh? Or for us who are member of the Brahma Kumaris, abracadabra, tomorrow morning I'm perfect. Huh? Wouldn't that be good? You like it? Okay, I will show you a little bit abracadabra. Science, you know, came up with quantum physics. Why? About 200 years ago, we had a revolution in our thought process, in our paradigm shift. Science came up into this world, and one of the famous guys was Isaac Newton. He said, the world is like a big clock, and everything is turning and wheeling. It's like a machine. And we just have to understand how the machine is there. We can calculate everything, and then we can make the world a better place. It was the time of mechanical universe. And it was the mechanistic age. And Voltaire, a very famous French writer, he said, it's a new religion. It's the religion of Isaac Newton. And the world followed his idea because he could calculate the movement of the stars. And then they said, we don't need the inner world, we don't need God, we don't need the soul, we don't need the emotion, because the world is just in front of us. It's a rational machine. We just need science, technology, and we fix all the problems. And the inner world got taken and thrown into the basket. We followed 200 years that paradigm, and now we can see the world is in a very difficult and tight spot. So something is missing. And about 80 years ago, 70 years ago, science found out that these mechanistic laws of Newton, they do not explain everything. There's in the universe, there are things which cannot be explained by these theories. There must be something more. And that was the beginning of quantum physics. I like to share one of very famous experiments there. It's the double slit experiment. You can look it also up in Google. Science wanted to find out what's the nature of light. So what they did was they took a light source, a wall with two holes, and they say if the light is a particle, you get a dot on the screen here, and you get a light dot on the screen here. Huh? If light has a wave, then many small waves, and you get many lights here. It's called an interference design. So science said, very easy, we can find out what's the nature of light. So, but they got sometimes this result, and they got sometimes this result. They changed the laboratory, they changed the light, but still they got this and that result. Finally, they found out what's influencing the outcome of the experiment. Who knows it? What is influencing the outcome of the experiment? Huh? Yes. It's the observer. When I observe the experiment, light behaves like a particle. And when I look to you and I shift my attention, light flips and becomes a wave. Then, in a second, I go back and look, and it's a particle. And I say, okay, now you stay particle. I look to you, it flips. I look back, it's a particle. You know? And it became very tricky. And science almost freaked out. Because, you know, they omitted the mind, the soul, 200 years ago. And suddenly they had to admit, the observer, me, I play a crucial role in the observation of the experiments, and I even influence it. And they have gone further and further now. What they say now is that the world is there, and by observing it, I influence and create it. I met a scientist in Israel, very good guy. He's working with the Israeli Space Agency. He's a top guy. He works on a theory, gravity and consciousness. He says when we observe a mass, the mass becomes measurable. And the consciousness, the observation of the mass makes it measurable. And the moment I don't observe it, it will change and become black matter, dark matter. I didn't fully understand it. It was full of a lot of formulas were there. Anyhow, science is telling now what happened is the mind creates a field of information around us. These are our thoughts, our emotions, this is our awareness. This field of information is interacting with the quantum fluctuations. And the quantum fluctuations then, they form the reality. That's how science is explaining it. It's very weird, it's happening, and science had to brought back the mind into the reality. Suddenly the inner world and the outer world, they became one again after 250 years of separation. And this is very, very special because it's a paradigm shift. It's a very, very big change. However, it's yet not mainstream. It's just known by the top scientists and a couple of people. Mainstream still believes in the mechanistic worldview. So, this is why there is abracadabra, because all the time my intention creates the reality. Now, in practical, what does it mean? I want to share with you about yogic agriculture. This is an experiment we're doing in India. And here are some web pages also where you can find more information. And it's about changing the lives and livelihood of farmers in India. So what are we doing? We meditate with the plants, with the seeds. Who has a garden or plants at home? Hands up. Okay, most of you. Do you talk sometimes to your plants? Yes, because we know it intuitive that there is a connection between our love for the plants and how they grow. And what we do is we meditate with the seeds 10 days before sowing, and then 30 minutes every day, and meditation of mind and heart towards the field, but also towards the seed. And this is a typical field. We work with 5,000 farmers in India, and we work with a rural university in India to confirm our results. And I show you some of the results. These are carrots which are treated only with pesticide chemical. These are carrots which are organic. And these are carrots organic and with love and yoga. Here is wheat with meditation, and the same wheat without meditation. And the university has confirmed that the yield is 25 to 30% more if you have love and compassion and empathy for your seeds and for the field. 25 to 30% more. Can you imagine? You just love the seeds, you love the soil, you love yourself, you're a good person, and you get 25 to 30% more. That is the relation between our thoughts and what happens in the world. And science is actually saying the world exists because we observe it all the time. And we did proof here in this project, and now the Indian Ministry of Agriculture wants to replicate the yogic farming. So, and there's a professor, her name is Ellen Langer. She's very famous, she's a Harvard professor. She made an experiment with old people, and she took 100 old people from an old age home, did a mental checkup and a physical checkup, and divided them in two groups. Group A, she put in building number A. Group B, she put in building number B. And Group A, there was no change. Same food, same television, same newspapers, all the same. They were all around 80 years old. And they had a lot of problems, no? 80 years, rheumatism, this, that. Then the Group B, she changed the house. The furniture was from the 60s. The television program was black and white with the series from the 60s. The newspapers were from the 1960s. The television news was from the 1960s. And the books were from the 1960s. And she told to all these old people, you talk only of stuff of the 1960s. You know, the murder of John F. Kennedy, the Korea crisis, and so on. And then after 1 week, she came back, and she did again a full mental and physical checkup of all the participants of the experiments. And the results were very, very shocking. The people in house A, no change. Same problems, same physical, mental condition. But in house B, there was a tremendous change. Suddenly, these old people, you know, the guy who was walking like this, he suddenly became straight and was happy and walked like that. The guy who had high blood pressure was normal. There was a guy who had dementia, you know, who was forgetting things, all this. This guy said, what I'm doing here in this old age home, I wanted to make a tour around the world, you know, and they had problems of stopping him to leave the old age home. So the improvement in health was absolutely shocking. It means how we think about ourselves creates the condition of our physical body also in a quite dramatic way. She repeated these experiments many times. And she's very famous. You can find her books everywhere. She created also the term mindfulness. And she did an experiment with young students, all around 25 years old. She took two groups, and one group got a crossword with good words, where the solution was good words like success, happy, powerful, young, dynamic, and so on. The second group got crossword with negative words, death, rheumatism, diarrhea, bad words, And then after 2 hours, she took both groups again together, and she says, okay, you go in the other building on the 3rd floor, and there's another experiment. What she did not tell them, she observed how long they took, and she had a camera, and they looked how they go up the stairs. So the guys with the positive crossword, they da-da-da-da-da, and when the stairs came, they took 3 steps at a time. I'm still doing that. And the others who got the bad words, they walked like this. And when the stairs came, they took the hand at the railing, and you should see the pictures, they whoa, and they started moving like this. They took 3 times longer. They walked up as if they are old people, because for 2 hours, one group had positive thoughts and one group had negative thoughts. And that's how our thought process influences our life, our health, and our situation. So, what we should do, think positive on yourself, think positive on others, and think positive on the world. Now we have seen we have to have positive thoughts. Observe what happens in your mind. Do I have positive thoughts when I wake up in the morning? Sometimes it's a Monday morning, it's ice cold, the hot water boiler, the hot water geyser is not working, it's only cold water. I look outside of my window and I see my car has a puncture. That is very bad for my mood, Then the next bad thing is I look in the fridge, I look there is no more coffee powder, and then I remember that I have no money on my bank account. So my mood slowly gets down and I think, what a bad day. And I go in a very bad mood to my working place, and everybody who meets me, he feels, oh my God, this guy is in a bad mood. And I influence my body, my energy level falls more and more and more, and I think the whole day on these bad problems and what I'm going to do. The other option is, if I have a positive attitude, I see, okay, there's cold water, who cares? I get it done. I have a puncture, all right, I get it fixed. No coffee, I make a tea. No money on the bank account. Oh, money will come and go, I don't worry. It will come after some time. And my mood is not negatively affected. I go with a smile to a working place and I say, everybody, good morning guys, how are you? And if I'm happy, I make other people happy. So, we have to think positive on ourselves, regardless what happens. Then, think positive on others. Now, once I start healing myself, I start healing others. And I can reach out. And I will make a change. Because we have seen from quantum physics that I'm influencing all the time the atmosphere around me. And people actually catch it. Because we send and we receive all the time this atmosphere. Think positive on others, and then I can start healing the world. Because the plants, the animals, and the physical reality, they respond to my feelings and my emotions. If I love them, if I take care of them, if I'm compassionate, matter, animals, and human beings will react. And that's how I make a change in this world. That's how inner change, how I deal with climate change, with peacelessness in the world, aggression, greed, and so on. My love and compassion can heal. That much is the power. So, we have to visualize the paradise or Satyuga. A time of harmony, beauty, peace, perfection, luxury, purity, bliss, divine prosperity, contentment, righteousness, highest and holy place, close to God and timeless. These are the adjectives we should focus on, where our mind should be. Because when we are in that positive golden age world, in that paradise, we are happy and we radiate that energy out and we make a change around us. It's good for our body, it keeps us happy, it makes others happy, it creates peace, and everything what should happen will happen and will become good. So, meditation and a change of thoughts are the key to transform the world. That easy it is. Meditation, change of thoughts are the key to transform the world. Towards a better world, yoga and a change of consciousness, unity values, peace, and sustainable technology. The technology is all the time there. We don't need much more technology. We actually have everything there. We have enough technology. We know how to save planet Earth. We have to plant 10 billion trees, 20 billion trees. They will absorb the CO2. Climate change would be finished. Just make the Earth green again, for example. Drive less with our cars. Technology is there, and the knowledge what to do is also there. But we need yoga and a change of consciousness. So, this is my last slide of the presentation. And I hope you're inspired this evening by this talk. You have seen how serious is the climate change and that the world is really in a very tight spot. Climate change is happening. It's affecting all of us, and it will become worse. And in order to deal with that, we have to change our lifestyle. In the second part, you have seen about renewable energies in India, what the Brahma Kumaris is doing. And we are, meanwhile, the biggest institutional user of solar energy in India. Brahma Kumaris is the biggest institutional user of solar in India. And in the third part, you have seen how it's all connected to me, to my inner world. Science is recognizing now the importance of the inner world. And you learn that through meditation, mindfulness, you are changing the neuronal highways in your brain. And you increase the mass of gray brain cells. You're able to change the old habits and replace peacelessness with peace, greediness with contemplation and happiness and love. And you're able to change this inner world and make it sparkling and light and happy. And then you start radiating these qualities out, and we all jointly are going to change the world and make it a better world, a better place. And in India, this is called Satyuga. And it's a conscious act of creation with the help of the understanding that our inner world, us, we are the driving force. Our inner world, our thoughts, our love, our contemplation, this is the force which is going to change the world and makes it better. So I thank you very, very much for the time. I know I shared a lot of information with you, and there are web pages on solar. There's the ECHO web page. There's the India One web page. Oh, this is the old slide from Israel. Don't go on the Israeli web page. This is not true. Don't go there. It's all in Hebrew. You can't read it. Don't call that number. You will land in Tel Aviv in the center. It's the old slide from the last show. So from the last presentation. So you will find more informations. And I hope you are inspired. And I would be very happy now for a couple of minutes of some questions. And then I would like to do a meditation with you, because that's actually what we should do. Yes?
Yeah, first of all, brother, presentation was very formal. Yeah, the presentation was very simple, straightforward, and up to the point. The question I have is there any evidence or any research done on the solar system and the health issues?
Yeah, there's a lot of research has been done on health and climate change. And science is saying through the climate change, all health parameters are disintegrating or become worse. For example, the dengue fever is moving now more and more into northern regions where it was never there. And I read that the dengue fever has reached now South France because of the increase of temperature. So there's a lot of connection between climate change and health. And of course, if you use a clean technology, which is sort of reducing the climate change, or which is not producing carbon emissions and changing the climate in a negative way, you indirectly also, of course, contribute to a healthy lifestyle. In addition, in India, for example, quite often the ladies cook with fire inside the room, and the atmosphere is very polluted. And many of the women in India, they have lung problems, pollution problems, because the kitchen is a place of smoke and soot, So using a solar cooker or a clean cook stove, for example, helps a lot to health issues.
Yeah, so to have to have the solar panels on the roof is healthy?
Well, there is no harm in that.
Yeah.
I don't know of any side effect that there's any negativity. Maybe
Yeah.
some other question?
Thank you.
Yeah, they're behind you. And then the gentleman in the last there has also a question. Yes, please.
India One project is absolutely fantastic. I can see you have installed the solar concentrators on the big land.
Yeah.
Because the land is available in Mount Abu. But if you want to do the same thing in the cities, maybe in Mumbai or
Yeah.
Ahmedabad, we don't have much land available. So what is the alternative in that case?
Yeah. There is a technology called building integrated solar. So what you should do is, for example, the first thing is what you do in your life is you do an energy audit. And you analyze how much electricity I'm consuming, how do I travel, how do I all my activities, and how is my carbon footprint. There is a webpage called Carbon Tracker. You can add your personal activities, how many computers I buy, how many mobile phones, how many flights, and how much I burn the light and this and that, and then automatically it calculates your carbon footprint. And the best what you can do in the beginning is you save energy, because that's the best achievement and the cheapest and easiest you can do. You can share the car, you can put LED lights in your room, and you see what are the major consumers. For example, the air condition, instead of making 18 degrees, you make it to 22 degrees, because it's still comfortable enough and it consumes half the electricity. So that's the first thing what you're doing. And in cities, there's a lot of option. You can put solar hot water on the rooftop, or you can put photovoltaic on the rooftop. Usually in India, we have a flat rooftop. And for bungalows, 1, 2, 3 floors, you can do it. In Israel, for example, it's a law. It's mandatory. So when you drive through Tel Aviv, all the houses, they have solar hot water on rooftop, because it's mandatory by government. Only the skyscrapers, which have more than 10 floors, they are free. Everything below 10 floors must have solar hot water on the rooftop. So there are options what you can do, where you can make a difference. And also people in the cities can make a difference. You know, they can save water, they can save electricity, they can share the things. They can buy things more consciously, buy less plastic, use less plastic. You know, there are many, 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 many ways where we can do. And you can Google green lifestyle, environmental friendly lifestyle, and you will get all the information. You can go also to our Echo Brahma Kumari's webpage. There's also many suggestions for lifestyle. Okay, this gentleman, last gentleman there.
Thank you very much. Very inspiring talk.
Thank you.
And I'm glad to say I have been to the Mount Abu and seen the places over there before. My question, you talk quite a lot about the solar panels and everything. Have you also considered the geothermal heating?
Yes.
From geothermal, you can get a lot of heat as well.
Well, geothermal, that means the heat from the underground. For geothermal, you have to make thorough analysis of the geography and the geology of the country and the place. Usually that is something which has to be done by the government, because they have to do some test drilling and this and that and this and that, you know. And so for a private organization or a charitable organization like us, that's a couple of numbers too big to look in geothermal. If you live in Iceland, I was in spring, I was in Iceland. There, the whole country is 100% running on renewable energy. The reason is everywhere this hot steam comes out of the ground. And there many people privately, they use it, but it's everywhere available. Otherwise, you know, it has to be researched properly, and then the government has to give a permission. So for private parties, geothermal is very difficult. Yes, it's there, but it's for the government, you know.
Hello. Also, the thermal exchange of the chemicals can also produce the heating as well.
Yes.
That can also help towards like pre-warming the water or something like that.
Yeah.
Which goes into your
there's a lot of other technologies also. I agree. So
Can I say one more thing? Just a quick. When you mentioned about Isaac Newton and everything else, there's a recent survey has been put out, in effect from the Manchester University, saying that Isaac Newton actually stole some of the theory that he's put out from the Rusi Kandana, which was back in between 14th and 16th century. That
Yes.
he discovered quite a lot of things that Newton has now has them.
Yeah, nothing is new on this planet and everything has happened somewhere else before. So here on the front, there's one more gentleman. We make the last question and then we do 5 minutes meditation, because otherwise it gets too late for all of you. You still have to go home. Yeah.
Thank you very much for this talk.
Yeah.
I would like to know, on the solar side, you said quite a lot, but the storing, right,
Yeah.
is the problem at the moment. Now the solar has reached the domestic side as well. There's solar panel, everything on the houses and everything. The storage is the problem, right?
Yes.
We're
you're right.
having are they going on the domestic side?
See, what happened is storage is one of the most critical areas for a transition to clean technology. So what you have for small-scale systems is batteries. They are available, their efficiency is 90%. They're a little bit costly, but if you maintain them, you get 10 years out of it. Then we, in our India One, we use a thermal storage. Means we use a mass of iron, cast iron, we heat it up, and it's insulated. It keeps the heat overnight. That's also there. Then you can store electricity in hydropower. You can store electricity in chemical way. Yesterday in Israel, I met a company which works on fuel cells, and you can produce hydrogen with the solar power, and later with the help of a fuel cell, you can also make electricity. So there is a lot of research going on in thermal storage, and every year there are at least 10 conferences around the world, and different technologies are evaluated. They are at different costs, they have different pros and cons, and this would be too much for this talk to go in detail of storage for renewable energy, because it's a world on its own. But a lot of stuff is going on. We are aware about it, but it's a complicated field. All right. Which one? The meditation page. Oh, the website. Oh, they are very much the meditation. This one. Which meditation website? You take photo. Okay, done? Look. Okay, so here we are at the planet. No, we do now meditation. Now is meditation time. All right, so I would say we do a meditation now. So please, some nice light, and I would kindly request you all to sit very comfortable and in a very relaxed mood, and maybe some nice light and some soft music. That would be very nice. So we all now understand that a change has to come from us. So we are relaxing ourselves and start breathing in a very, very relaxed way. And we breathe down to our stomach, and we start relaxing our shoulders. We relax our head, and we relax our legs. And I start breathing very deep and very relaxed. I'm now reducing my thoughts. I'm not thinking about the past, and I do not worry about the future. I am in the presence, and I am a spiritual being, a being of light, and my true nature is peace and love. My true nature is peace and love. I can feel how my body is now relaxing. My thoughts are calming down, and I am peace and love. to fill myself with peace and love. And I can feel how the atmosphere is changing. Everything becomes peace and everything becomes love. I'm now looking to the world, and I can see the world is in trouble. I'm sending peace and love to the nature, to all the trees, to all the plants, to the ocean, to the earth and the sky. I'm now focusing to all the animals on the planet. Many of them live in very bad conditions. They are my friends. I'm sending them love and peace. Now I'm visualizing my friends, my family, my neighbors. I'm visualizing my city where I live, my region, and my country. I'm sending love and peace to all my brothers and sisters on this globe. I take the globe in my hands and I send love, light, and peace to the whole globe, to the nature, to the animals, and to all human beings. I visualize now a better world of beauty, happiness, and joy. We call it Satyuga, a world of perfection. I visualize this world, and I'm sending love and peace to the old world. And I know that my thoughts have a very powerful effect. Vibration is changing matter, and vibration is changing people. I am love, and I am peace. I change the world. I hold Satyuga in my mind. I create Satyuga around me. I am love and I am peace. And I am connected to the divine light. I give love and peace to the world. I can feel how the atmosphere becomes very powerful. I understand now that through this inner change, I'm going to change the world. I'm coming now back into this body. Open my eyes, and I'm back here in the hall. Om Shanti. I am a being of peace and light. So, I hope you could feel how in the meditation the atmosphere has changed. Did you feel it all? And that's the way how we are creating a new world. We change the atmosphere. And quantum physics tells us that my inner world reflects into the outer world. So we are all creators. We just have to understand it, and it becomes very easy. So once again, thank you very much for your time. And when you come out, you can take our brochures with more information, and everybody gets a little blessing card. You can open it, and you will find a blessing for the day. Thank you very much.
Om Shanti. We'd like to thank, on your behalf, GOLO for a very informative and entertaining presentation. And you can see his depth of knowledge and passion for the subject is very evident just by being here. And if you would like to know further information about this change that we all have to start within ourselves, well, details are available downstairs at the What's On guide. And I hope you come to our next entertainment